Hi everyone, this is Amy from the Helms Academy, and today we're talking about summarizing. So to start off, what is a summary? Well, a summary, according to the Oxford Dictionary, is a brief statement or account of the main points of something. So I like to think about summaries the same way I think about telling someone about a movie you just saw or something you just read. You don't want to start at the beginning and tell them every line of the book or every line of the movie. You want to give them the key ideas, the key events. And so that's what we're doing when we're summarizing a text or something else more formally for a writing assignment or a test. So how do you summarize? Well, I'm going to break it down into 3 steps. First, you read the material that you want to summarize. Second, you decide what the most important ideas are. And third, you put those ideas into your own words. Now, remember that a summary should always be shorter than the original text. It should never be the same length, and it should definitely never be longer. So I want to add a little asterisk here, though, to say that summaries can be many different lengths, but they should just always be shorter than the original text, as I said. And you should pay attention to what the assignment asks of you and only include the information necessary. So sometimes our summaries only need to be 1 sentence. Other times there are a few sentences or a paragraph. And other times, for something very long, you might have a few paragraphs to summarize what happened. So depending on what you need this for, whether it's for a larger project and you need a longer summary with more details, or if you just need something very brief to include, consider what the assignment is, and that should give you a better idea of how many details to include. So, some strategies for creating a summary. First, if you are reading something long, I'd encourage you to take short notes along the way so that you can remember the things that happen. You can also do this by underlining or circling the important information that you see. And if you have something that has multiple paragraphs of material, one thing that could be good to do if you're making these notes or circling, underlining information, is to make sure that you capture the main ideas of each. The way I like to do this is I read a paragraph and then I say, what was that paragraph about? What did every sentence in that paragraph have to do with? And that helps me narrow it down to the main idea. So you can also pretend like you're writing a note to a friend after you read something, and you want to think about how you would describe that. I mentioned before, it's also like telling someone, so you might imagine picking up the phone and calling a friend or a family member and saying, hey, I just read this book, or I just read this article, or I just saw this movie, and here's what it was about. That will help you to narrow it down to the details that you need to include in your summary without going overboard with too much information that no one will want to hear. And then finally, you can just ask yourself generally, what was this about? Again, it keeps coming back to that central question. Whether you're identifying a main idea or you're telling someone about this, you want to get at the core of this. What was this really about so that I can tell someone else about this material accurately? So let's look at an example. So this text says, a fair analysis of animal inactivity shows it is almost never born of aimless indolence, but instead serves a broad variety of purposes. Some animals lounge around to conserve precious calories, others to improve digestion of the calories they have consumed. Some do it to stay cool, others to keep warm. The hunted is best camouflaged when it's not fidgeting or fussing. And so too is the hunter, who wishes to remain concealed until the optimal moment for attack. Some creatures linger quietly in their territory to guard it, and others stay home to avoid being cannibalized by their neighbors. So this text comes from a HiSET reading practice test, and we're going to use this little section today to figure out how to summarize. So again, I'm going to look back at this text and say, what was the point of this text? What do they want me to take away from it? So we're going to start by going through and circling some important information. And you'll see I use 2 colors here. So I started with the green because the green is going to help me see what information goes with the main idea here. So I circled animal activity, never born of aimless indolence, and a broad variety of purposes. So that's what I think this text really wants me to take away. That when animals are inactive, it's not because they're being indolent, it's because they have other purposes for it. Great, there's a start. Now, everything that's in blue, you can see are extra details that help explain that main idea. So those would be great to include if we wanted some more information about why animals do this, but we may not need to include it in every summary. So just depending on what your assignment is, I'm going to show you 2 examples of how this could look. So here's a short summary. If I just wanted to summarize this in 1 sentence, I would say, animals are not lazy, but rather are inactive for different specific reasons. So that sums it up, right? They have a reason why they're being inactive, they're not being lazy, and I didn't get into any of the details, but this would capture the main idea of this paragraph. Now, if I wanted to add to that, I could look at a longer summary. So I could say, again, animals are not lazy, but rather are inactive for different specific reasons. They may be quiet and still to more effectively use their calories, adjust their body temperature, blend in, or guard and protect themselves and their homes from predators and cannibals. So again, you'll see that I used the information in blue. I talked about the calories and digestion, I talked about staying cool or warm, camouflaging, guarding, cannibalism, all of that is in there. But you'll also notice that I did not use the same words as what was in the original text. I used my own words, which is really important because we don't want to plagiarize or steal from the original text. We want to show that we understood it by putting it in our own words. Thank you so much for watching today, and I hope that you learned something new about summarizing. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel below and check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and at helmsacademy.org.